Good afternoon, YouTube. One of my subscribers asked me a question yesterday on what I did a video where I showed these three plants, and I had a tray of what I was going to do. So I had some orchiata bark and a little bit of moss, a little bit of sphagnum moss, and a little bit of moss that I grow, and a mount. And I used it all on these three plants. So she asked me what the moss was for, so this is a video to let her know what it is and a couple of other things. So if we come over to the Dendrobium Grafton Monarch, we'll see that this is what I use the moss for. Now, it's not sphagnum moss as far as I'm aware. And it's not that matted, springy, spongy stuff. You know, the really dense stuff that's really quite spongy when you press it. If you look at this, this is quite fibre, quite long fibres. So it could well be sphagnum, but it's a very lightweight moss. It's just long fibres and it's all matted together. And I pick it up down the woods, down our woods, and I just lay it on the pots because I think it helps, especially in the summer. I might take it off in the winter, but I think it helps keep a bit of moisture in, and I only actually water once a week. But you can see it's like a long, let me take a piece out and put it down. It's quite a long moss, so it's not a thick, dense mat. I wouldn't put that spongy stuff on there because I think that would be detrimental to the plants. But this stuff I don't think it's going to do any harm. And I think my orchid buddy, when I talked to him about the moss, I think he was referring to the thick spongy stuff that you get, because I actually witnessed him picking up a pot and using a pair of tweezers and picking it out from his bark, and it's definitely not the same as this stuff. So that's what I use it for on the pots. And then on the collagene, this one here, Krista, I've just used it to put around the pot again. I've not used an awful lot, just little bits here and there. I've also staked this one so that to try and hold it back, to give it some room at the front. Otherwise I'd have to get a really big pot, and I don't think it would be happy in a big pot. So I've sort of pushed it back there. There's a growing tip there and one there, so I'm hoping that'll fill that side and that'll fill that side. I literally just put the bark in the pot, and there wasn't a lot of roots on this one, so I just sort of balanced the roots on top, and I just put a little bit of bark around, and then this moss to keep it moist, or moistish, so it doesn't dry out too quickly. And with the mount, the little Dendrobium on the mount, as you can see, what I do is I put some sphagnum moss, which is the stuff you buy in bags. Let's see if I can see a bit there. There's a bit underneath there. I don't know if you can see it, just there. Very little. I just put a small amount to fill up the grooves in this tree fern. Put the plant down, and then I get this moss, and I put very little on here because I didn't want to overwhelm the plant. You know, you can still see the roots, they're still visible, and I haven't overwhelmed it because I didn't want to, really squash it in and sort of suffocate it really. I put very little, and then I've had the fishing twine, and I've fixed it. You can see I've fixed it up there, and I fixed it all around like that. So hopefully, in time, I might be able to take the fishing wire off. I mean, it's a very fine one. It's quite an attractive little piece, this one, and so I would eventually like to take the wire off if I can. So that's those. Right, put them to one side, and I'll show you some other things that I've got going on. This is the clay pot heater I was talking about. Let's move back so you can see it better. That pot at the bottom is just holding it for stability, because if I can lift it, it's really heavy. There's, what do you see? There's a nut. See that nut? Oh, up there underneath. Can you just see it? That's holding the whole thing together with this long screw thing. I don't know the names of these things. But what it is, it's a tray at the bottom. You can see that tray, and you can see there's a gap underneath. And if I try and lift the top pot and hold the laptop at the same time, you can see there's a gap, and there's another pot. Can you just about see that? Another pot underneath. So I'm lifting up the top one, and now putting down the top one. You can do this with 3 sizes pots. I could put this, let's just balance it. I could make it with an even bigger pot on top and a bigger tray. But basically what you do is you put your candles, you know, the little tea light candles in the bottom. I'm trying to lift it up again so you can see. You can see one just in there where we tested it. You put 5 or 6 tea lights in there, and you light them. You can try and get the ones that last longer. You can get the deeper ones that last for about 6 hours. And what you do is you light the tea lights, and then we just intend to stand it on these stands. You can put them on a brick. Obviously don't put them on you know, a surface that can catch fire. We're going to put them on bricks eventually when we get them started. And I'm just going to light them, and I'm hoping it's going to keep the temperature, or at least keep the frost out in here, because I've got no other way of heating it other than electric, and I really don't want to do that. So we're going to give that a go, because it's not very warm in here today. It's only 13 but 12 outside, so it's only a 1 degree difference in temperature. So that's that one. And the other little project I've got is this one. I bought this at Kmart yesterday, and I thought, what a lovely little thing. That is just crying out to have a little mini phalaenopsis put in there. So this is going to happen sometime this week when this weather gets better and I can play around with it a bit more. I'm going to put a phalaenopsis on a very small mount, and it will have to be a small mount because it's not a very big hole. Fortunately, I can get my hand in that hole. So it's a, you know, I made sure I could get my hand in there so I can manipulate the phalaenopsis. So the intention is to put some charcoal down the bottom, some little layer of bark, mount the phalaenopsis on a small piece of tree fern, a piece that I can fit through here with the plant attached to it. It has to fit through there, and manipulate it in without me damaging it. Place that down on top of the thin layer of bark, and then place a bit more bark, a bit more of my moss, a few little stones just to make it look pretty, but that's all. It's not a very big terrarium, and I just want to put one orchid in there to make it the focal point. So that's a little project that I'll be doing soon. And the other little project is when we were out and about yesterday. You see that tree fern? We went to a DIY garden supplies place to pick up some perlite and what have you, and they had these in there. Now, out in New Zealand here, they grow prolifically on the west coast, and then they cut them and they have them to edge their gardens, you know, for garden edging. And this is a garden edging one, so we picked it up because it was shooting. We've cut it down, and we've got it balanced on those the clay pebbles, and I think it's crying out to have some orchids mounted on it. But I need to think about that a bit more, because the thing with the tree ferns, when they're alive like this one is, it does need a fair bit of moisture. So if I do put orchids on there, I'm going to have to seriously think about which ones I use, and you know, just how much moisture they can take, because I will have to water it quite regularly to keep the fern alive for the feature. But so I need to think about that, and I'll come up with something, and I'll post a video when I do. So I hope this helps answer the question regarding what I did with the moss. And any other questions, please ask. And thanks for watching. Bye.